What's up guys, Wade Willis here for my playthrough of Umineko, and this is episode 4, part 2. The last episode was really interesting. We had a lot of flashbacks, flash forwards. The whole timeline thing is kind of weird because we have Battler's sister involved now, and she's kind of from the future, but she's back in time. It's a whole thing. So it was interesting to see kind of things that happened to her kind of in forward, but also we were seeing things that like flashbacks with Maria and stuff like that. So yeah, really interesting, and I'm super excited for this and to move forward. I'm going to be uploading more regularly again. I was on vacation for a little bit, had a lot of stuff going on. So I will be trying to get back to like 3 uploads at least a week of this, and then obviously once Higurashi starts again, I will be covering that really in depth while I'm doing these as well. So yeah guys, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for tons of When They Cry content, and yeah, trying to reach 2,000 subscribers, getting pretty close, so please help me reach my goal. Go.
本当に可愛らしいぬいぐるみね。
It is pretty cute, not gonna lie.
この子がマリアお姉ちゃんの一番のお友達のサク太郎なのね。
学校には一緒に行けないけど、お家ではいつも一緒にいる一番のお友達なの。サク太郎はね、とっても無垢で可愛らしくて、そしていつもマリアに優しくしてくれるの。マリアに元気がない時には励ましてくれて、マリアが元気な時は一緒にいっぱい遊んでくれるの。だからマリアはもう寂しくなんかない。ママが仕事で忙しくて一人ぼっちでも寂しくないし、学校で誰も遊んでくれなくても全然寂しくないの。
It's interesting to see too that Rosa wasn't like freaking out on Maria when Maria was doing her little like weird.
サク太郎、
weird quirk stuff. At school, Maria had lived in the same kind of environment as I did. Compared to the other kids in her class, Maria's tempo was always kind of slow. Her sensibilities and way of viewing things were a little peculiar and a little too idiosyncratic for her to blend in. Her grades were low as well, since she was talkative about everything related to the occult, her specialty. She was treated like a weirdo by everyone else in the class. If you were touched by Maria, you'd be cursed, stuff like that. Apparently everyone in her class acted like she was disgusting, made fun of her, and avoided her. If a boy bumped into Maria, he'd start rubbing that part against the other boys as if he got the scum on him. They'd pick up her stuff like something filthy and chase the other boys around with it. Well, that's sad. It seems that the girls even thought even speaking to her was unpleasant. So they ignored her all the time, only giggling and sneering at her whenever she made a mistake.
いじめっていつの時代も似たようなものなのね。人間ってほんと進化しないの。滅べばいいのに。
マリアはいじめられて悲しいけど、でも仕方ないと思うの。
仕方ない？どうして？
だってクラスには一人いじめられっ子がいないといけないってルールなんだもん。
Kind of like Kyo in Fruits Basket.
最低なルールね。それを作ったやつの後頭部をレンガで殴ってやりたいわ。もちろん角で。
もしもマリアがいなくなったら、きっとマリアの代わりに新しい誰かが新しいいじめられっ子に選ばれる。マリアが我慢することで、マリアはその子をかばってあげられるの。
I mean, how can you not like Maria after that? As she said that, she smiled faintly. Maria's way of thinking was really unusual. According to her, from the beginning, a witch had resided in that place called a school. No, she says that any place where a lot of people gather will have a witch residing there. The witch tried to steal the student's soul through death by disease or accidents. Apparently, she sometimes also corrupts those souls, leading them down the path of evil. She says that an angel came, not content to let that continue.
天使様はね、魔女をやっつけようとした。でも魔女は強大で、戦いは7日7番に及んだんだけど、それでも決着しなかった。
Interesting.
疲れ切った魔女は休戦しようと言ってこう提案したの。
前に聞いたわ。私はこれまでクラスの生徒の半分を病気にしたり、怪我をさせたりしてきました。でもその代わりに、残りの半分の生徒は病気と怪我から守ってきました。だから、もしもクラスの一人を私への生贄に、いじめられ、その他全員の生徒を病気や怪我から守りましょう。だったっけ？
おう、天使様は考えたの。クラスの半分が不幸になることに比べたら、クラスの一人だけが不幸になることの方がずっといい。それに、魔女はその強力な力で他全員の生徒の安全を守ってくれるという。
クラスに40人の生徒がいるとして、20人の犠牲者が1人に減って、19人が助かるというわけね。実に合理的な提案。
Yeah, it would be, if it was real. I wonder if there's some theme behind this fairy tale. If it's a creation by Maria, a 9-year-old girl, that'd be pretty impressive.
天使様はその提案を飲むことにした。だから、一人の生贄によって19人は救われた。だから、マリアの役割は大切なの。魔女は19人を守ってる。
私たちが生贄になることによってその19人に感謝された覚えはない
I
けれ
have a
ど。
feeling this whole concept is going to come back. Maria's idea was too compassionate. Both of us suffering from a very similar type of misfortune, and yet maybe a small difference in our way of thinking changes how peaceful our hearts are.
それで、マリアお姉ちゃんは悲しくないの？
悲しくなんかないよ。だって、これからはサクタロが一緒だもん。ね、サクタロ。うりゅう、マリアと一緒なら僕も元気。
Sakutaro speaks now.
ほら、サクタロも元気って言ってるよ。
Maria hugs Sakutoro's stuffed animal, playing both sides of the conversation by herself. I don't understand it, but that's exactly why I want to reach Maria's level. So I was intensely drawn to her tale and her words.
エンジェは一人ぼっちだから辛い？
辛いわ。でも、マリアお姉ちゃんとこうしていられる時間だけは別。一人ぼっちじゃないから。
なら、サクタロもお友達になれば、もっと楽しくなるよ。じゃあ今日からサクタロもエンジェの新しいお友達だよ。ね、サクタロ。フリュー？僕、エンジェのお友達？フリュー、エンジェ
Skillfully moving the stuffed animal like it was a puppet, Maria expressed Sakutoro's emotions. She was controlling him, but the charming way he moved his short hand and cocked his head to side, it made it feel like he really was a new friend called Sakutaro. Of course, looking at it with cold eyes, it would only appear that Maria was comforting me when I was grumpy. But a soul that had definitely been sent into that stuffed animal, the soul of Maria's love. So I acknowledge the existence of a being called Sakutaro inside of that stuffed animal.
ほら、エンジェもサクタロに挨拶して。ほら、サクタロもご挨拶。フリュー？エンジェ、怖い人？
As Sakataro timidly looked at me, he unexpectedly met my gaze and hid behind Maria's back in surprise. Maria really is good at playing with stuffed animals.
大丈夫だよ、サク太郎。エンジェは怖くないよ。とっても優しい女の子だよ。どうも。サク太郎です。ウリュウ。
はじめまして、サク太郎。エンジェよ。新しいお友達になれて嬉しいわ。
I held out my hand as though asking for a handshake, and Sakataro's short hand was stuck out towards me, lightly touching my index finger. After all, when a human and a stuffed animal shake hands, their sizes are too different. This greeting by touching each other's fingers was our handshake.
これでもう、エンジェとサク太郎はお友達だよ。一人よりは二人、二人よりは三人の方がもっと楽しいよ。ウリュー
Maria had given the nickname Sakataro to a stuffed animal she was to receive on her birthday, and he had warmed and expanded his existence in her heart for a long, long time. Therefore, even before she met him, his existence was sublimated into a personality. Even at the first moment they met, they were already friends. Of course, that wasn't anything extraordinary in Maria's eyes, although I don't think she personified and loved anything quite as much as Sakataro. She loved the things she owned very much, treating them just like friends or beloved pets. Maybe Aunt Rosa hadn't let her keep a pet at some point in time, so she felt like treasuring objects instead. And maybe she was so isolated that she'd been forced to find a friend nearby. Because of all that, what happened that day wasn't anything extraordinary from her perspective. Even so, Sakataro, no, maybe I should call it Sakataro like Maria. There's no doubt that Sakataro was a stuffed animal. No, a friend whom she loved more than anything or anyone.
Moshi, Mama よ。上機嫌ね。お友達が来てるの？
サク太郎と遊んでるの。サク太郎ったらね。
It was already about 9 at night. Rosa had asked because this wasn't a good time to have a friend over, and she'd been just a little surprised. But when she thought about it, Maria didn't have any friends who would come over to play, did she? Even so, to think that she'd have so much fun playing with that stuffed animal. Rosa was very pleased that Maria had liked her birthday present so much.
ごめんね。ママ、どうしても仕事が片付かなくて。来期のラインナップが難航してるの。ようやく少しずつ注目され始めたみたいで、なんとかここで期待に応えられるインパクトを与えたいのよ。
今夜もお泊まり？いいよ。頑張ってママ。
そうありがとうねマリア。ママのお仕事のことを分かってくれてありがとう。
Rosa was surprised that Maria had accepted so easily that she wouldn't be able to come home from work. To Rosa, having to tell Maria that she'd be coming home late or staying overnight was a huge burden. Maria would start crying about how lonely she was on the other end of the phone, and it took a lot of time and effort to calm her down. To think that Maria would accept it in such high spirits. Is this also thanks to Sakutaro? Rosa was once again pleased that she'd given her daughter such a good present.
明日のこの時間には帰れるようにするわ。明日は一緒に夕食をとりましょう。マリアは夕食はまだよね。コンビニでお弁当を買ってきて食べてね。お菓子はダメよ。ジュースもダメよ。お釣りと一緒にレシートも入れておくのよ。わかった？
サク太郎とお買い物。サク太郎とお買い物。
あ、こら。サク太郎はダメよ。お留守番させなさい。
From Maria's manner of speech, Rosa got the feeling that Maria might have gone shopping with that stuffed animal without her knowing about it. Rosa's forehead creased, and after sourly saying that Maria definitely mustn't do that, she hung up.
おー、 サク太郎とお買い物、ダメだってママに言われた。ウリュウ、マリアとお買い物に行けない。一人でお留守番、寂しい。なんでママ、サク太郎とお買い物行っちゃダメなんて言うんだろう。ウリュウ、きっと、僕がマリアと一緒にいるのを見られると、恥ずかしいんだよ。恥ずかしい？なんで？ママはよく、僕を外に連れて行っちゃいけないって言うし、マリアのことをよく、もう何歳になったんだからダメとか、そういう言い方をするし。マリアはサク太郎と一緒で全然恥ずかしくないよ。僕はライオンだけど、ぬいぐるみだし。ライオンでぬいぐるみだけど、マリアのお友達だよ。だから一緒にお出かけしよう。
I keep thinking she's like 6, but I think she's like 10 at this point, so...
ママがいない時だけ内緒で。
I can't believe she's just letting her sleep at home by herself though. That's kind of crazy.
ひょっとして、サク太郎も恥ずかしい？僕は恥ずかしくないけど、ウリュウ、ちょっとお外の人が怖い。そっか。じゃあ、サク太郎が怖くなくて、一緒にお出かけできるようにする。マリアに任せて、便利なのがあるの。
Maria started fishing around her messy room. Rosa often told her to clean it up, but Maria apparently didn't like doing it. Who does? However, Maria herself knew more or less where everything was. So much so that if it were to be cleaned up, she would have trouble finding where anything was. That's how it is for me, too. Maria proudly held it up high. Sakatoro looked at the knapsack, which was gaping open, squirming as though saying, "Are you serious?"
ウリュウ、マリア、もしかして。これなら一緒にお買い物に行けるし、サク太郎も怖くないよ。
Maria held Sakatoro up and started stuffing him into the knapsack. At first he tried to stick his head out first, but then he'd be upside down. Oh, stick him in head first and suffocate. So she pulled him out and tried pushing him in again, feet first.
ウリュウ、きつい、狭い、暗い。ウリュウ、ほら、大丈夫だよ。頭を出せば狭くないし、暗くないから怖くないよ。景色もいいよ。ウリュウ、本当だ。これなら、マリアと一緒にお買い物に行っても大丈夫？大丈夫だよ。今日のお夕食は何がいいかな？さあさあ、お出かけしよう、サク太郎。
マリアお姉ちゃん、楽しそう。
とっても楽しい。一人だったら寂しくてつまらないことでも、サク太郎が一緒なら何でも楽しい。どんな人間のお友達だって夕方になったらお家へ帰らなきゃならない。
So sad that Sakataro is like her only actual friend.
でもサク太郎は帰らないし、いつまでも一緒にいてくれる。一緒にテレビも見るし、お布団の中だって一緒だし、雷が怖い夜には手だって握っていてくれる。クローゼットやベッドの下のお化けだって追っ払ってくれるんだよ。サク太郎頼もしい。ウリュウ、マリアを怖がらせるお化けは僕ライオンだから勇気を出して追い払っちゃうよ。ウリュウ、ガオー。
They were so close that it made me a little envious. I'm supposedly older now than Maria was then, but Maria really was my own age, and I still haven't reached her level. If only I had a friend close by like Sakatoro.
マリアもサク太郎もエンジェの身近なお友達だよ。いつもマリアたちはエンジェのすぐそばにいる。でもエンジェの魔法が弱いから こうしてマリアの日記を開かないと知覚できないだけ。
知覚？マリアお姉ちゃんは難しい言葉を知ってるね。
According to her, this world is full of magic and spirits, and they're as natural as nearby as a light breeze.
風って普段は気にもしないし見えもしないけれど、お線香の煙とかがたなびくとそれを見ることができるんじゃない？
そうね。そしてそれは見えなくても普段から私たちの身近にあるものだわ。
そういうこと。マリアもサクタロもいつだってエンジェのすぐ近くで一緒なんだよ。神様や精霊、守護霊も私たちのすぐ身近にいるの。でも意識しないと存在を感じられない、目では見えない風のように。でもそれは確実に私たちの身近にあって、魔力という煙がたなびけば誰にだって見えるものなの。
I thought I'd only be able to meet Maria while this diary was open. But from what she says, she's always with me and I can meet her at any time if I truly desire to.
マリアは自分の日記に日々の記録と一緒に自分の魂のかけらを残しておいたの。だからこの日記にはマリアの魔法の力が宿ってるの。でもそれはとても微弱なもので、エンジェ以外の人には誰も感じ取れ
That's
ない。
gonna come in handy, I bet.
私にだけはわかるの？
だってエンジェはマリアと同じで魔女の力を宿しているもの。エンジェだってちゃんとお勉強すればきっと将来立派な魔女になれるんだよ。
魔女？それは楽しいのかしら？
楽しいよ。そうすれば日記を開かなくてもマリアやサクタロがいつも身近にいるのがわかるようになるよ。そしたら毎日がとっても楽しくなる。そしたらエンジェにマリアは他にもたくさんのお友達を紹介できるよ。そしたら毎日が忙しくてとっても賑やかになるよ。
それは楽しいかもしれない。マリアお姉ちゃんが残した魔導書も持ってるわ。今度真面目に読んでみるわね。
She has a grimoire too? I guess I didn't remember her
そし
saying
たら
that.
私も一人ぼっちじゃなくなるかな。
Maria and Sakataro said that at the same time, happy that I had developed an interest in the world of witches. With her knapsack on her back and half of Sakataro's face peeking out of it, she triumphantly walked through the shopping district late at night. Well, it was that time of day after all. Everyone in the shopping district was either a shop owner lowering the shutters on their shops, or an employee rushing, or else staggering on their way home. Amidst all that, Maria was in a good mood, like someone on a hike probably looked quite merry. Every once in a while, passing employees would glance back at her with eyes of seeing someone out of place. Office ladies giggled at the cute stuffed animal poking the head out of the knapsack. The supermarket had been closed for quite a while by this time. However, convenience stores, which had been growing in popularity lately, stayed open until midnight. It was very convenient for Maria, whose mother's return was often late. Maria lowered the knapsack from her back, carrying it like a child in her arms, and headed toward the sweet buns corner. She poured into a sweet bun she had eaten before, explaining to Sakataro that that one was delicious and that one was pretty good too. Sakataro seemed to be enjoying it a lot.
マリアは3色パンにする。これ一つでね、あんことクリームといちごジャムが食べられるの。でもたまにウグイスあんだったり白あんだったりするの。あんこは1種類でいい。うりゅー、いろいろ入ってて面白そう。うりゅー。あとはマリアはフルーツヨーグルトにする。フルーツ入ってるけどお菓子じゃないよね。きっとママも大丈夫。 サク太郎もどれか欲しい？売りは？いいの？お金は大丈夫？うん、全然平気。ほら、聖徳太子なの。だからサク太郎にも好きなものを買ってあげられるよ。一緒に食べよう。サク太郎もヨーグルト食べる？
When Maria made to grab another one of the same fruit yogurt, Sakatoro bent his head slightly worried.
でも、僕、大きいのは食べられないから小さいのでいい。じゃあ、この小さいお菓子ヨーグルト30円だね。安い。
That is cheap.
僕はそ
How
れで
is
い
it
い。
that cheap? Oh, I guess this is the 80s. Okay.
マリアと一緒にヨーグルト。サク太郎と一緒にヨーグルト。
Still, must be. When Maria put the 3-color bread and the 2 yogurts in a shopping basket and brought them to the register, the man running the register had been in charge of the tobacco shop that had been running here until last year.
お嬢ちゃん、この時間によく見かけるね。偉いけど、今度からこの時間のお買い物にはお母さんと一緒においでね。
ママがいいって言ったから大丈夫。ママはいつもお仕事で帰りが遅いけど、マリアたちは寂しくなんかないの。
Don't say that.
ね、サク太郎。
Yeah, that's not good that she's telling people that.
そっか、そりゃ大変だね。ほら、ジュースを1本おまけしてあげるよ。
The man working at the store took a can of leftover soda or something from behind the register and packed it in the bag with everything else. That is
おじさん、ありがとう。
alarming.
よかったね、サク太郎。
Since she had told not to buy soda, she couldn't take it back home. She decided to drink it on her way back and not bring the empty can back home. Oh god. With the final bag with sweet bun around her elbow, holding the knapsack with Sakatoro and in the same arm, drinking her soda, the two of them walked home.
柚子胡椒ソーダって微妙。サク太郎も飲んでみる？おりゅおりゅおりゅおりゅおりゅ。わあ、おりゅマリアひどい。まじゅい。だよね。
Of course, it's not like she could actually make a stuffed animal drink soda. She just put the can to Sakatoro's mouth and pretended to tilt it. But it was fun for Maria to share the taste of this weird drink that she had gotten free with Sakatoro. There was a huge moon in the sky. At times, the moon had been clouded by tears when she had been unmanageable during Rose's overnight stays, and when she'd been scolded by her mother. But this moon was very warm and seemed to watch over the two of them as they enjoyed their trip home by themselves, Maria and Sakatoro. Ange watched the two of them go for behind. She looked so warm from behind. After looking at the backs of Maria and Sakataro together, it became very hard to remember all of those long nights when she cried because her mother hadn't come home. I couldn't say it to Maria, but if I'd been in the same position, I may have given that stuffed animal the name Sakataro, but it wouldn't have been anything more or less than a stuffed animal. Anyone can make a relationship that only distracts you from loneliness. But Maria was different. Sakatoro isn't a stuffed animal or a toy. He was a real friend, and far from just distracting Maria from her loneliness, he changed the nights without her mother into fun times where they could play all by themselves. Was it because Sakatoro was a special stuffed animal? Because her mother had made it herself? Because it was very, very cute? Probably not. If there's a secret here, it doesn't lie within Sakatoro. I think it probably lies within Maria.
"これがマリアお姉ちゃんの言う魔法の力なの?"
魔法を知るということは、今まですぐそばにいたのに気づけなかったたくさんの友達に気づけるということ。まるで新しいおもちゃ屋さんが近所にたくさんできるみたいに楽しいこと。
Even if I locked up in an academy without a single friend, had power like Maria, I wonder if I could make my days just a bit richer. I wonder if I'll be able to honestly shed tears on nights I feel like crying, to smile on gray nights.
うん。できるよ。エンジェはできる。だって、エンジェにだって、魔女になれる資格があるもん。
魔女になる資格。
マリアも魔女になれる資格あるんだよ。だから、まだまだ勉強中の修行中なの。きっと素敵な魔女になって、ほうきでお空をかけて、ケーンで虹を描いて、飴玉を空から降らせ
That's
る
a bit different than Beatrice.
の。マリアはきっとできるよ。そしたら、エンジェにも見せてあげるね。きっとそれは、素敵な夢の中のような光景だから。
Maria said that making an absolute promise with her smile. There's no way I can become a witch, but if Maria says that, it makes me feel that maybe I really can become a witch. Because in reality, on that desolate night when no flower of a smile could possibly have bloomed, her magic surely gave birth to a smile.
魔女になれるかな。
なれるよ。エンジェは少し年齢を重ねちゃったから、魂が少し重力に惹かれちゃってる。だから、マリアよりも修行は大変かもしれないけど、でも、きっとなれるよ。だってもう、エンジェは魔法の一端に触れてるもの。
私が魔法？
Yeah, the grimoire thing. Or diary.
だってほら、もうこの世にはいない私を、こうして呼び出して語らっているよ。
Solid point.
これは魔法なの？
うん。私が日記に残した魂のかけらを、エンジェは魔法で膨らませて、私を蘇らせてる。さっきも言ったよね。こうして私と再会して、会話ができて、時に笑顔を見せられるんだから、エンジェは魔法の才能がきっとあるんだよ。マリアお姉ちゃんが保証する。
お姉ちゃんはさっき言ったわ。私は日記を開いた時にしか会えないと思ってるけど、本当はいつも身近にいるって。私に魔法の力がもっとあれば、それを見て、今こうしているようにお姉ちゃんと会話ができる？いつでも？
いつでもお話できるよ。朝のおはようの時だって、いつもそばにいるし、授業中だってそばにいる。退屈な授業は私とお話しして気を紛らわせようよ。食事の時には話し相手になれるし、お昼休みだってこれまでのようにいつも一緒にいようよ。放課後だって一緒にいるし、もちろん寮に帰ってからだって私はいつもそばにいる。日記を広げた時にしか私を見てくれないだけ。
日記を閉じてもマリアお姉ちゃんは私のそばにいてくれるんだよね。
いるよ。だからエンジェが私を見ようとして、そして話そうとしてくれれば、私はきっと答えられるよ。しっかりと見て、話そうとしてくれれば。
私、やってみる。
簡単じゃないよ。いきなり上手くなんてきっといかないよ。
わかってる。きっと簡単じゃないと思う。でも私、マリアお姉ちゃんみたいになりたい。
おお、わかった。じゃあ、私をよく見て。しっかり見て。ゆっくり目を閉じたり開いたりして。いきなり長くつむっちゃダメ。私の姿を瞳に焼き付けては、それをまぶたの裏に染み込ませていくつもりで。
やってる。
まぶたを閉じても私をイメージできるようになったら、そのままゆっく くり柔らかく目を閉じていて。どう？まだ私が見えている？
多分、見えてると思う。
じゃあ、一度目を開いて。いよいよ本番。心を落ち着けたら、日記を閉じて。その時一度、マリアの姿は消えてしまうかもしれない。でも焦らずに、心を落ち着けて。そして、まぶたの裏に染み込ませた私を、逆に瞳に染み込ませていくつもりで、ゆっくりと、虚空
Maria's
に
a pretty good
私をイ
teacher,
メージして、
gotta say.
私を、虚空に見て。
大丈夫。じゃあ、閉じるね。日記。
Slowly, I closed it. When I did so, a gray reality filled with a dull air unfolded. Of course, Maria's form disappeared. Give it all you got. Have courage. Take the first step into the world of witches. I felt like Maria was cheering me on inside my heart. She's cheering me on? Really? Or do I just think that she is? No, that's wrong. It's because that I think this is I cannot see her. Maria's always by my side, and even now she's definitely there cheering me on to do my best. That reached my ears, so I mustn't ignore it like it's my imagination or the voice of my own heart. I believe that Maria is there. I mustn't doubt. I believe. Onei-chan said that she's always by my side. I must not doubt that. But looking at that empty space by the empty back wall of the school building, amidst those almost heartlessly boring rays of sunlight, calling out her name was unexpectedly difficult. The chains of uncommon sense that had clung to me until today sneered at me, telling me that calling out to the empty air was ridiculous. It was almost like being told to take a step forward off the roof of a skyscraper overlooking a sea of lights. It's Maria saying it. It's alright, she's saying that I'm the one who can do it. Stop thinking you might fall, or that it'd be foolish to take a step off the roof, and free yourself from those chains of common sense. I steadied my breathing, concentrated my mind, made the vivid form of Maria and the empty space before you rise to the surface. Understand magic? And see Maria.
Maria, お姉ちゃん。誰かいるの?
At that time, I was answered by a rustle in the bushes and a wild cry, and I came to my senses. It looked like I wasn't the only one behind the school building. No, since I'd been so immersed in the world of the diary, I hadn't noticed someone coming. I recognized a group of 3 beyond the bushes. They were kids from my class. From their appearance, it felt as though they'd come from behind the school building to gossip about someone or talk in secret. I hurried out of that place, because if it became known that I'd be alone in a place like this, mumbling to myself, it'd become a pain again.
言ったよね。言ったよね。マリアお姉ちゃんとか言ったよね。やばくない？心霊とか見えちゃってんじゃないの？あれ。
I could hear the shrill, loud laughter from behind. Irritated and feeling that Maria had been made fun of, I left that place at a quick pace and then a jog once I turned the corner. And I might have made it to Maria's world with just a little more time. It was just frustrating and aggravating. Why does everyone get in my way? I haven't gotten in anyone else's way, not even once. I ran and ran, but still felt as though I could hear their shrill laughter. Hmm. 12 years later. Okay. So Ange will already be the CEO, right?
噂じゃ、エンジェちゃん。あんた、ビルのてっぺんから飛び降りたんだって？
追っかけがうざかったんで、ちょっと巻こうと思って。
Ange and an older gentleman wearing an expensive suit were alone in a massive modern conference room. All the newest machines for presentations were installed there, but they didn't upset its refined and composed atmosphere. And that alone was enough to make the business-like theme of the room abundantly clear. However, it didn't matter at all to Ange. She carelessly sat at the high-class chair that executives making a salary of 10 million yen probably sat in, looking aloof from the world.
下の方の階で改装工事してて、転落防止ネットがあるの知ってましたし。
Ange talked about it like it was no big deal, but in reality it had been a miracle among miracles. To think that she'd shoot through several layers of netting for a remodeling project, she'd been caught in a multicolored banner adorning the atrium and slipped off. Only to be softly caught by a final banner landing on the ground without a scratch, and then briskly leave that place. It put Hong Kong movies to shame.
いくらネットがあるの知ってたったって、高さ200メートルの超高層だよ。もしも思い通りにならなかったら、今頃大変なことになってただろうよ。
死んだら死んだで、それまでってことでもいいかなって思いまして。まあちょっとした運試しです。若気の至りってことで。
Okay. So this is that timeline that she left, or her spirit kind of left from, I guess. How this works, I'm not really sure. This is kind of confusing. As though saying she had enough of that topic, Angie shrugged coldly. Seeing that, the old gentleman who was looking at the world below through a crack in the blinds cackled.
運試しときたか。いやはや、やっぱり金蔵さんのお孫さんだね。うんぷてんぷ。天の会長も博打に平気で命を懸けられる人だったが、これも後ろ宮の血なのかね。やっぱりあんた、将来大物になるよ。悪いことは言わない。家出ごっこはこの辺で切り上げて、須磨寺の家に戻ったらどうだい？
お母さん、実家と仲が悪かったって聞いてます。お葬式で初対面の人の家になんて行きたくないです。
Sumidare's a mom's family. They're an old family from Kyoto compared to mom's frank attitude, unbelievably strict. The only Sumidare I'd been on good terms with was Grandpa, who was living apart from his family under the guise of retirement. Mom kept in touch with him too, but she avoided the rest of the family completely, almost hostilely so. So when I went out to play with the Sumidare family, it was always Grandpa's house I visited. When I was young, I didn't really understand it, but I hear that Grandpa was in an extremely weak position as a man who moved into his wife's family register, and his relationship with Grandma was also bad. You might even say that Grandma hated him and confined him to the house. It's hard to imagine that because she had a soft spot for Grandpa alone. Mom was also hated by the Sumidaras. Since I was her daughter, they probably hated me quite a bit too. And yet, they appeared to be for the first time at Mom's funeral, shamelessly going for how big I'd gotten, like they could actually act like a family after all this time. When Aunt Ava died, I would inherit all the wealth of the Ushiromi family. If that wasn't what they were after, there's no way they would have been able to say such disgusting words.
まあ、一人ぼっちになっちまって、自暴自棄になりたいエンジェちゃんの気持ちもわからなくもないな。
自暴自棄とかじゃないです。小うるさいエヴァおばさんもやっとくたばったんで、久しぶりにのびのびと散歩してるだけじゃないですか。周りが大げさに騒ぎすぎなだけです。
Of course, everyone's after the vast Ushiromi wealth I bear. They must think that becoming my guardian means they'll be able to do as they please with that wealth. Just how many people have tried to get that close to me, acting like they want to be my substitute parent?
エンジェちゃんも辛いことがあったら、俺でよかったらいつでも相談してな。
Okay, creeper.
エンジェちゃんのこと、実の孫みたいに思ってるんだから
Yeah,
さ。
this dude's a creeper.
はぁ。当面はノーサンキューということで。それより、話を戻してください。
エンジェちゃん、何度聞かれたって、俺が隠してることは何もないよ。あの日の六軒島の唯一の生き残りが会長なんだ。その会長が何も語らずに言っちまった。俺だって何もわからないよ。すべては闇の中だ。
The old gentleman was one of those leaders who had been entrusted with the business group Ava had built up after she had passed away. The one he called chairman was the former chairman Ushiromiya Ava. His company once had friendly ties to Hideyoshi's business, and had close relationships both to Hideyoshi and Ava. For that reason, when Ava lost Hideyoshi, he became the only person to whom Ava might have let her true intentions slip. Whenever Ava's heart was torn by the loss of her family, whenever she took it out on Ange, he had acted as a buffer between the two. So although Ange didn't trust him, she found him a very easy person to question.
あの事件は、いや、事故か。
Accident, yeah.
事件なんて言っちまったら怒られちまうな。そりゃ俺も世間やワイドショーと同じ程度の疑問は持ったさ。
どうしてエヴァおばさんは事故当時、屋敷から2キロも離れたところにたった一人で、それも嵐の晩に。
What?
当時、金蔵さんは次の後継ぎに誰を選ぶかで迷われていた。表向きは長男のクラウスさんってことになってたんだが、
Okay, yeah, we...
クラウスさんはあまり信頼され、
それで親兄弟4人の中から公平に後継ぎを決めるため、碑文の謎というゲームじみた試練を課した。
それは表向きだな。おそらく金蔵さんは初めからエヴァさんを当主後継ぎにするつもりだったんだ。長男が後継ぎだという自らのルールを撤回してでも、クラウスさんと違い非常に勤勉で優秀だったエヴァさんに家を任せたかったんだ。
This seems like propaganda.
碑文の謎を解いた者に家督を引き継ぐなどという新ルールは、クラウスさんから次期当主の肩書きを奪うためだけの茶番だったんだろうな。
茶番ってどういう意味ですか？
あの碑文は誰にも解ける必要はなかったのさ。適当に刑事期間を経た後、本当に金蔵さんが後を継がせたかったエヴァさんを呼び出し、その答えを与えるだけでいい。つまり、それこそが当主継承の証ってわけさ。
それは、ワイドショーでは言われていない話ですね。
Well, I mean, I...
当主継承がうんぬんなんて話をしたら、余計陰謀説が優勢になっちゃうからね。俺もバカじゃないからさ。誤解を招くようなことはわざわざ口にしないよ。
This was his theory. At that time, the Ushiromiya family had Kinzo, whose remaining life it was announced to be short, was troubled by the problem of who was to succeed him. Normally, the successor would be fixed as the eldest son Kraus, whom Kinzo had chosen himself. But in his later years, Kinzo began to think Ava would make a more fitting family head, which, to be honest, she probably would be. However, Kinzo, who was stubborn even against himself, was stymied by the title of successor he'd already given to Kraus, and he'd search for an official stance by which he could skip over Kraus and select Ava as his successor. That official stance was the riddle of the epitaph. The primary successor was still Kraus, but there was a new rule saying that if someone appeared to have solved the riddle, they would be chosen as successor of the headship. Then, on what was probably his final family conference, Kinzo told Ava the answer to that riddle himself. In short, it was the same as proclaiming Ava as was the successor.
エヴァさんはあの日、金蔵さんに呼ばれ、それを打ち明けられたんだ。そして、当主を引き継ぐため、当主だけが知る隠し館である、クワドリアンにエヴァさんを呼びつけたのだ。
で、一足早くその隠し館で待っていたエヴァおばさんは、そのおかげで事故の難を逃れた、と。エヴァおばさんが全ての財産を奪うために、事故を装ってみんなを殺し、自分だけ難を逃れただけかもしれない。
大衆紙はそう騒いでるな。だが、俺はエヴァさんを信じてるよ。信ずるに足るポイントがいくつかあると思ってる。
例えば？
今エンジェちゃんが指に通してるその後ろ、その指輪は金蔵さんが特別に作らせた世界に一つしかない指輪だ。そして今エンジェちゃんが指にしているものは間違いなくそれだと作った細工師も認めた。
She just could have just killed her dad and stolen it from him. The Shiromi family head's ring. That ring, with the heft of gold and the one ring seal on it, had a diamond arranged on a pedestal and felt both sturdy and reminiscent of the dark hobbies of the rich. Kinzo had worn that on his finger without removing it for even a moment. This man was saying the fact that Ava had proved that Kinzo had acknowledged her as his successor.
その指輪を確かにエヴァさんが持つからこそ、そして実際にエヴァさんが優秀で、クラウスさんにはビジネスシーンでの数々の醜態が知られていたことを加味すると、エヴァさんの話は全くの作り話とは思えないんだ。
その指輪を奪うためにおじいさまを殺害した可能性だってあるけれど、そしてエヴァおばさんは何らかの細工をして事故に見せかけて一族を皆殺しにした。
そうだな。大衆紙は財産の独り占めが目当てで一族を皆殺しにしたなんて言ってるようだな。確かにエヴァさんはここ一番では随分思い切ったこともしちゃう人だよ。あるいは後宮家の財産を独り占めできるチャンスに生涯でただ一度の殺人を犯したかもしれない。だがね、俺はそうは思わない。
そう信ずるに足るポイントの二つ目は？
エヴァさんのご家族だよ。秀吉さんにジョージ君。エンジェちゃんはにわかには信じがたいだろうけど、エヴァさんはあれでかなり家族を大事にする人だったんだ。
Justify. True, part of me didn't want to believe or acknowledge it, but I did understand vaguely. Aunt Ava certainly had been a person who highly treasured her family. After all, the root of her twisted personality had been nothing more than the sadness of losing her beloved son and husband. After getting hit with her angry outbursts as she tried to distract herself from that pain, I have no feelings of sympathy at all. But it's not like I can imagine how the incredible shock of losing her whole family must have changed her character.
家族を愛したエヴァおばさんが夫と息子を見捨てるわけがないと？
そうだ。もし本当にエヴァさんが犯人で一族を事故に見せかけて皆殺しにしたならば、夫と息子が絶対に生き残ってるはずなんだ。偶然自分の家族だけが隠し館にいたとへりくつをこねてね。もし秀吉さんとジョージ君も無事だったら、さすがの俺でもエヴァさんの陰謀を疑ったろう。
less suspicious having Hideyoshi and George be dead, though.
俺は秀吉さんの葬儀で見せたエヴァさんのあの号泣を演技だなんて到底。
どっちも状況証拠的ですね。エヴァおばさんの潔白を物理的に示すには至らない。
それを言っちゃおしまいだよ。生き残ったのはエヴァさんのみ。その彼女がそれが真実だと言うんだからさ。
でも彼女の潔白は誰にも証明できない。
No one can prove her guilt, though, either.
ああ、そうさ。そして彼女の犯行も誰にも証明できない。
Those are like the constant conflicts
そ
with
して信
Battler
ずるべき
and
ポイントの最
Beatrice.
後が警察だ。何しろ派手な事件だったからね。陰謀説を騒ぐ世論に後押しされて 警察が随分とエヴァさんを調べたはずさ。
It was easy to feel something unnatural about the claim that Ava had avoided the accident by coincidence, because she alone had escaped to a hidden mansion. Furthermore, at the time, Hideyoshi's company had been right in the middle of a takeover struggle, and in order to buy off the big stockholders, she wanted a large sum of cash. It shouldn't be too hard to find a motive there. But as a matter of fact, there had been nothing at all that implicated Ava as she went to the family conference. Nothing unnatural was found on her that could have been used to brutally murder her family and make it look like an accident. The servants who escaped harm by being off duty on that day also stated that they hadn't seen anything strange regarding anyone related to that event, Ava included. Putting all that together, it could only be concluded that Ushiromiya Ava had headed to Rokunjima for a normal family conference without any change, and had encountered an accident.
警察があれだけ散々調べて事件性を見出すことができなかった。警察がそう断じ
Accident
た。
that killed 17 people in separate rooms.
それで六軒島疑惑は決着じゃないのかな。
それは単に発見できなかったってだけの話じゃないんですか？
それを言い出したらキリがないな。悪魔の証明になっちまうよ。
This is just like that.
犯罪を暴くには証拠を見つければいい。でも無実を示すには何を見つけりゃいいんだい？消極的事実の証明は不可能だ。
エヴァおばさんが犯罪を犯したか否か、それを判断する材料が見つからないから、そのまま真相は迷宮入りということですね。
そうだな。エンジェちゃんの期待する言い方にするとそうなるな。
Without a reasonable doubt.
エヴァさん自身にだって自分の無実は証明不能なのさ。あの島で不幸な事故があった。そしてたまたまエヴァさんが生き残った。しかもそれ以上のことは何もわからない。つまるところ唯一の生存者であるエヴァさんの話を信じられるか否かってことになるわけさ。俺は信じた。指輪の話や彼女の尊敬できる家族愛、そして葬儀で見せた涙、それらを加味して考えて彼女の話を信じようと思ったんだ。
でも私は信じない。指輪なんて奪う気なら方法はいくらでもあるだろうし、家族仲が本当に良かったかなんて誰にもわからない。葬儀の涙が本物かなんて証明不能。
Ange is correct.
というか、私はそもそもエヴァおばさんなんて大嫌い。だから私は彼女の話を信じようなんて思わない。
事件の真相をどう見るか。俺とエンジェちゃんで真っ向から対立しちまったな。俺たちに与えられてる情報は全く同じなのに、全く異なる見解も持っちまう。こういうこと、政治や経済でもよくあるんだ。同じ事業をやっても必ず評価は分かれちまう。どうしてかわかるかい？
いいえ。
愛があるかどうかさ。
Love.
相手に愛を感じてるかどうかで、物の見え方は全く違うってことなんだ。好きな人が貧しい人に施しをすれば尊敬できるだろう？でも嫌いな奴が施しなんて始めたら、売名行為だとか、ばらまき行政だとか、非難合々さ。何をしてもしなくても、愛があれば感謝し、愛がなければ非難
He's
す
not
る。
wrong.
それが世の中ってもんなんだ。
エヴァおばさんのことを信じられるか信じられないか、それだけの違いってことですか？
彼女を疑う人間には、彼女が何をしてもしなくても、それは実に不自然に見えるだろうさ。逆もしかり。俺はね、世の中には真実なんてものは、よっぽどのことがない限り、存在、いや仮にもし、真実が存在したとしても、 それを信じるか信じないかは、絶対性の宿らない真実なんて、真実と呼べるのかい？エヴァさんが物理的なアリバイを示したとしても、君はそれを信じられたかい？
It's hard to counter that. I hate Eva, so I'd probably deny any information beneficial to her, and interpret any neutral information in a negative way. In other words, the truth is already decided inside me. So just what in the world is the truth that I'm searching for, unsatisfied? This is why I've actually been watching Making a Murderer over again with my roommate. She hasn't watched it before. And some of the stuff where like these prosecutors like bring out all this like I'll just say like some of it was like false information, but just like this spewing all this stuff to like change the court of public opinion before they even like select a jury and all these things. And I don't know, it's like super messed up. Like you need to have people be impartial, because once they're like minds one way or the other, they're just going to accept all the evidence in the way that they want to accept it. So this is so accurate what this guy is talking about. And if you look at crimes and like how juries do things, a lot of times they're like they already believe a certain way because of what's been portrayed in the media. And yeah, if you already hate someone and you see them donating, you're going to think they're doing it for some like political reasons or something.
そういうことさ。つまり、俺から何を聞こうとも、エンジェちゃんがエヴァさんを未だ疑っている以上、何を聞いても今更何も変わらないってことなのさ。少なくとも、今のエンジェちゃんじゃ、仮に未知の新事実を掴んだとしても、真相に至ることはできんと思うね。
私では真相に至れませんか？
Neither can.
だって、エンジェちゃんはどんな新情報や新証拠が見つかったって、エヴァさんが犯人だってスタンスは変えないんだろう？ならこれ以上何を調べたって意味はないじゃないか。君の中の真相はすでに決まっているわけさ。
That's not a positive quality in someone. Everyone kind of does it, but
エンジェちゃんがそれを真相と思わずに、さらに奥深くの本当の真相にたどり着きたいと願うなら、一個だけもう話したつもりなんだけどな。なんだかわかるかい？
愛ですか？
no, you have to not hate someone or love them to look at it.
よく意味がわからないです。
I disagree with this part.
エンジェちゃんは今、エヴァさんを犯人だと仮定し、ものを考えている。でもそれじゃあ片目でものを見てるようなものなんだ。
Okay.
片目じゃどんなに目を凝らしても、ものを立
So you
体
have
的
to
に見るこ
look
と
at
が
it
で
in
きないだ
love
ろ？
from a love perspective and hate perspective.
だから、
Okay.
もう一つ目が
That's
いるんだ。
fair.
もちろん、今の目とは別の立場での。
エヴァおばさんが犯人ではない。あるいは、本当に事故であるという仮定にも基づいて、物事を見ろと。
そうそう、その通り。
Yeah, this is so interesting because it parallels like how we as the audience, like initially I was just accepting everything was magic, and now I'm kind of being forced to try to solve how this couldn't be magic in a lot of the situations. So
物事を考えるときには、異なる立ち位置から見るようにするんだ。
it's really good writing to have these things parallel each other.
そうじゃないと、本当のことは何もわからない。新聞だってそうさ。一つの新聞だけじゃ、その記事を書いた記者の目線一つでしかものが見られない。複数の新聞を読むことで初めて立体的かつ冷静に分析ができるこ
It's
と
a huge
もある。
problem in our society. We look from one point of
愛が
view.
なければ真実は見えない。いいね。
Ponytail boy has a point. Maybe he thought it interesting that such a flashy phrase would pop out of his mouth. For a while he laughed, looking pleased. At the same time he was telling me that he'd said everything he knew, and that it was about time to leave. I understood that and got to my feet.
俺にもエンジェちゃんの気持ちが分かったよ。あんたが納得するようにしばらく好きにしたらいい。当時、君は6歳だった。わけがわからないうちに家族を失い、未だに心の整理がつかない気持ち、よくわかるんだ。真相はわかるかもしれない。わからないかもしれない。エヴァさんは犯人かもしれないし、犠牲者かもしれない。エンジェちゃんが信じる真実が見つけられるのを祈ってるよ。若いうちの旅も貴重な経験かもしれない。
ありがとうございます。お忙しいところ、お邪魔して本当にすみませんでした。おこのびさん。
いいっていいって。これからどうするんだ？
まあ適当に。事件関係者やその道の専門家ってやつに何人かアポを入れてるので、そちらを当たるつもりです。
So she's trying to figure out the cause?
そうか。納得のいく答えが見つかるといいな。
Nogi. Is this guy from Higurashi? I feel like he is. At that time, company president Okanogi's secretary came in, handing him a memo over his shoulder. He read it, then looked between it and my face.
エンジェちゃん、旅に出てごらんと言った矢先で申し訳ないんだが、耳に入れといた方がいい情報だ。君、今だいぶやばいらしいね。
私の金を狙ってる連中ですか？だからお金なんてくだらない。
だからって財産丸ごと売っ払って、全額を福祉に寄付しようなんてしたら、エンジェちゃんの財産で川残用してる連中が、目ん玉飛び出しちまうよ。
ああ、スマデラの家ですか。あいつら、何を偉そうに保護者面して。
I haven't forgotten Aunt Eva. There's no way I'll put myself in the care of the Sumadera family. They'll probably want to, as Aunt Eva often threatened in the past, cut off my arms and legs and throw me into a warehouse and suck the Ushiromiya family's wealth dry.
スマデラ家の使いがここに来るそうだ。君を引き渡せと。いやいや、保護したいと言ってるな。
What the hell? This is some weird shit.
使いって？
君のおばだよ。キリエさんの妹さんだ。
Kirie has a younger sister?
君のことを妹のように思っていると前に話してた
Who the hell
な。
is this chick?
ご冗談。せめて孫と言ってよ、あのババア。
文脈から見るに、君の意思は聞く気がないようだ。地下2階の駐車場に車が待たせてある。行きなさい。
スマデラの家から引き渡せって言われてるんでしょ？いいの？私を行かせて。
エンジェちゃんはきっと将来大物になるよ。この貸しは、その時の出世払いってことにしとこう。行きな、早く。
I swear he's part of the organization, the dogs or whatever, but maybe I was... I think that dude had a ponytail too, and that's why I'm thinking that. After bowing slightly and deeply, Ange left that place in a dash. After watching her leave, the female secretary straightened her glasses and whispered.
スマデラ家からは足止めをしておくように言われていますが、行かせてよろしいのですか？
足止めならしたよ、十分に。それに間に合わないのはスマデラの過失だね。エンジェちゃんには逃げろと言ったし、スマデラにはエンジェちゃんが来てるよと通報したし、捕まっても捕まらなくても双方に恨まれない。世の中はすべからく愛だね。大丈夫、逃げおわせるよ。何しろ追ってまくためにビルから飛び降りられる子だからね。
That is pretty impressive. Okanogi looked down again through the crack in the blinds, muttering, "Nope, definitely couldn't do it." Ange wasn't a fool herself. She got off the elevator, but on the third floor. A taxi on the second level of the basement? That's so neat and clean that I don't like it. It's probably better to refuse for now. But my enemies aren't fools either. They're probably waiting on the first floor lobby as well as the underground parking lot. It's such a massive building. Instead of getting anxious and escaping outside, maybe it's better to stay inside and wait it out. No, that's useless. They'll get their hands on a security room like a modern building like this and I'll have nowhere to run. This entire building is like a massive dead end. The third floor is the business floor. A young girl like me would clearly stick out. Try not to stand out any more than I had to. I walked at a brisk pace, searching for an emergency exit. It'd be perfect if that staircase was an outside one. I found a door to the emergency exit. Is there someone waiting there? After opening that heavy door, I found the outside staircase I'd hoped for. I bumped into a man who was looking like an employee skipping work and smoking a cigarette. After glancing at me, he quickly crushed out a cigarette and went away. It looked like there was no one below. If I could escape, now's my only chance. Of course. Just what I thought, a black car slid right under me and came to a sudden stop with an incredible squealing of the tires. Judging by the sound of the tires, it seemed that they had several other allies, and that one of them had come here to block this path.
かすみおばさん、やるじゃない。
Sumi.
非常口から出てくるメイにまで送迎車を送るなんて。
Bam! The doors of the car were forcefully opened from three black-suited men jumping out, looking up at the emergency staircase. Crap, our eyes met.
12、マルタイ発見。北西側非常階段3階。応援を。エンジェ様！そこを動かれませんように！ご無礼を失礼します。
Three of them began to clamber up the emergency exit. They've already announced that they plan to be rough. This is pretty bad. As long as I don't stop breathing, they'll probably be in order to grab me no matter what. Even if they gotta rip off one of my arms. Their heavy wild footsteps became a helix and began to rise from the lower floors, getting closer. The entrance lobby of the building, a woman with 7 black-suited guards behind her advanced at a leisurely pace. Seeing this ostentatious entrance, the security guards for the building ran up to them, asking if they had an appointment.
これだから東京人は。
Is this chick in the... I don't see her in the thing.
名乗らせなければ相手の格もわからない？
失礼いたしました。当社ではご来賓の皆様にはフロントにてセキュリ。
下がれ。
Dang, what a biatch.
私はお前たちの社長に呼ばれてきたんだよ。おこのぎ哲郎を呼んでおいで。呼びつけておいて出迎えもないとはね。これだから東京人は。
これは失礼。ようこそ後ろ宮グループへ。妻寺かすみさん。
With his secretary behind him, Okanogi dashingly appeared from the elevator. Even though both of them wore bold smiles, they were wrapped in tension reminiscent of the smell of gunpowder.
エンジェはどこ？姉さんのかわいい姪を迎えに来たのよ、私は。
後ろ宮グループでは時間厳守がモットーでしてな。時間を守れない人間は契約も守れないってのが先代会長のお言葉でして。
東京まで呼びつけてなんてざまなの？逃がしたわね。
逃げられたと言ってもらいたいですな。これでも随分足止めはしたんです。さすがに蹴取られましてね。妻寺さんが時間通りに来てくれれば問題はなかったのですが。これだから地方人はルーズで困るんです。
今なんとこの私になんと
You couldn't sense any curious open frankness in Kasumi's face. She wore the arrogance of an ancient Sumadera family toward the ruined Ushiromiya family, as well as pride because she didn't want anyone to notice that her family was declining so much that they couldn't ignore the Ushiromiya family's wealth. Even at a glance, it was easy to understand why Ange hated her aunt so deeply. She couldn't stand even a slight insult, and though she still smiled, her eyebrows twitched. At that time, the black-suited man behind Kasumi whispered to her.
エンジ様を発見しました。対応中です。
あら、 間に合ってよかった。ありがとうね、お好み。ようやくやんちゃなメイを連れて帰れそうだわ。私、あの子と一緒にゆっくりとお茶室で語らいたくて、
All of the tools
お道具
prepared?
まで準備して待ってたんだから。
Yeah. I don't trust the sound of that. Clank, clank, clank. As the violent sound drew a helix, it rushed up at me from below, threatening to swallow me up. Of course, even if I fight, there will be no way I'll be able to win. And yet, running into the building would likely be jumping into a dead end of my own accord. The enemies will increase in number with time. If I don't do something here and now, I won't have any more chances to escape. You gotta jump off the 3rd floor, right? And 3 muscular suited men came into view below me. 1, 2, 3. 3 people. In other words, everyone who had gotten out of the car. If there had been just one of them, I might have been able to drop kick them or something, smash them in the head, which might work out. But it really would be impossible with 3 of them. Wait, 3? If there's just 3, I should be able to make it. I can do it.
バカやめろ。危ない。うわー
On top of the car, that's what I was thinking she would do.
01より12。確保したか。応答されたし。どうした。応答しろ。なんてやつだ。くそ。
See, that worked out perfectly, didn't it? There's just 3 of them after all. I've already tried that once from a higher place. I knew I'd be able to jump down just 3 floors. It's a good thing the car they came in was right beneath me. Even if it wasn't as pleasant as a trampoline, it broke my fall a little gently, a little roughly.
失礼、ここまでへこむこともないだろう。
The roof of the car broke my fall, leaving a massive dent around my body. Car roofs are surprisingly delicate. I don't think it's because of my weight. Apparently, the 3 people on the staircase hadn't planned on me jumping down. It seemed they now realized they'd been outwitted and they were rushing down the stairs. I've got to run and escape while I got the chance. I moved my body, making clunking sounds on the car roof. But I'd been naive. Of course, they wouldn't all rush up the stairs without leaving one person behind. There was one black-suited man left in the driver's seat of the car that hadn't broken my fall. He stuck his head out the window when he realized what had fallen on him. He jumped out. In a rush, I jumped off the roof, but the black-suited man's reaction was really fast. Either there was a massive reward for capturing me, or there had been some harsh punishment in store for them if they let me get away.
15、確保、確保。
気安く触らないで離して
I was mercilessly held down against the asphalt. I was being crushed face down, covered, and pressed up from above. It was a hold without a trace of elegance, but it was extremely practical and left me no room for resistance. I tried to push back with both my hands, searching for a way to resist, but I was being pushed down solidly and I couldn't even tear myself off the asphalt. Then another car came squealing its tires and slid to a sudden stop. Is it all over now? The man that had been crushing me let out a sharp cry. He was yelling straight into my ear, making my left ear ring. What in the world? Along with the black-suited guy, I fell with a thunk. After landing face up, first thing I saw was her arm stuck right out in front of my eyes.
天草、あんたどうしてここに？
その話は巻いてからにしましょうぜ。お嬢、車へ早く。
Hamakusa grabbed my arm, easily pulled me up, spinning me around with himself as the center of gravity. Just when I thought it was a little like a dance, he flung me through the open door into the driver's seat. I climbed over the handbrake and slid to the passenger seat, pushing me in. Amikaza also got into the driver's seat. Since we suddenly accelerated when I was still on all fours, I had to kick and struggle around the car chair for a while like a turtle that's been flipped over. Amakusa checked the rearview mirror for cars in pursuit, but he flew into the artery of the big city without lowering his speed in the slightest. So this guy's on the art that I have. Pretty big picture too. We stood our way between cars one after another, just like a chase scene in some action movie. I was shaken by the horrible driving and had trouble sitting back down.
お嬢、 お怪我は？
問題ないわ。人間って案外頑丈よ。私、次からは下りのエレベーターを逃したら、窓から飛び降りることにするわ。
お嬢の趣味はエアダイブらしいや。ただ、次からは落下傘をつけることをお勧めしますぜ。
飛び降りた後に思い出せたらね。
Cool.
He smacked the steering wheel gawfully. Need an explanation for this flippantly talking man? His name is Amakusa Juza. He was originally one of Aunt Ava's guards. Didn't she start to hate him because he chatted too much? He was much younger than the rest of the guards, but contrary to his outward flippancy, he hoped to be hopped from the 1st Airborne of the JSDF to the French Foreign Legion, placing himself in overseas private military companies and high-class security companies one after another, making for a pretty incredible, unique career. But he deserted both the JSDF and the French Foreign Legion, and he'd been arrested. That he'll be arrested if he enters France again. Both these flippant episodes were very typical of him. The guards were sternly told not to chat with me unnecessarily, but he came and took a pass at me, didn't he? Aunt Ava was apparently particularly put off by that, and had supposedly dismissed him shortly before he did.
その軽口が懐かしいわ。クビになった後は
Oh,
どうして
fired,
たの？
sorry.
ブラックウォーターでエク
Black
ササイ
water?
ズ指導を。
Jesus.
休暇で帰国したら、小此木社長に高給を提示されまして。
んで、また脱走？こんな男、何の役に立つのかしら。
来週までに帰りゃ脱走にはなりませんので。話があったのは昨日です。お嬢が厄介な連中を呼び込むかもしれないと言われまして。
まさにその通りで申し訳ないわね。
お嬢と面識があってドタバタの経験も豊富ってことでご指名が来たんでしょうぜ。お嬢のおかげでハッピーな休暇と小遣い稼ぎになりそうです。
おこのぎさんがあんたを私の護衛に雇ったってこと？
お嬢に恩を売りたいんでしょうぜ。首の後、お好みの社長にはいろいろと世話になってましてね。いろいろと弱みを握られてんで逆らえんのですわ。
はあ、おこのぎさんの世話になると後々で高くつきそうね。で、あんたは私をどこに連れて行くつもりなの？
Broken Jima?
どちらへでも週末までは雇われてます。それ以降は別料金で。
1日いくら
5万で手を打ちます。
Wait. Oh, that's like 500.
経費は別ですぜ。
500.
軽口を叩かないなら倍払うわ。雇用期間は未定。何週間かになるかも。
そりゃ大変だ。ボスに休暇の延長を電話しないとなりませんぜ。
私、どうしてもあの日のことが調べたいの。
ああ、例の六軒島の。
そうよ。12年前にあの島で何があったのか、私の手で納得がいくように調べたいの。
そんな昔のことを今さら調べて、今さら新しい発見がありますかね。
そうね。だからこれは私の自己満足のための旅なのよ。それを終えたらネギでも背負ってスマデラの家に行くわ。かすみおばさん、私にお抹茶をご馳走したいとか言ってたっけ？角材の上に正座させられて石でも抱かされながらのお茶かしら。
そりゃおっかねえや。
So interesting. This is so different than the other episodes.
申し訳ございません。見失いました。
Huh?
そう。ありがと
I
う。
think she might be pissed.
残念よ、おこのぎ。これがあなたのお返事だということでよろしいかしら？
逃がしたのはあんたのヘマだ。俺の知ったこっちゃないね。
あなたにもぜひ今度お抹茶をご馳走したいわね。京都においでの際にはぜひお立ち寄りなさいな。行くわよ。
あれ？もう帰っちまうのかい？お茶漬けでも食っていけばいいのに。
She a freaking witch? With her back still facing Okonogi, she laughs softly but with an increasing shrill and hateful tone, using that substitute for a sharp parting remark. Just as she stopped laughing, her features suddenly changed to look like a demon's. But because her back was facing him, Okonogi couldn't see that expression. Okonogi watched her go, laughing coolly. His secretary whispered over his shoulder.
よろしいのですか？エンジェお嬢様は我が社の筆頭株主です。スマデラ家が後見人になれば。
知ってる？だがな、うちも天下の後ろ宮だ。舐められてたまるかってんだ。しかしあいつうまく立ち回ってくれたようだな。あとはエンジェちゃんの好きにさせるさ。頼むぜ天草。
霞様、逃走車両はレンタル、提示した免許証は偽装とのこと。明らかにプロです。おそらく車両は放棄するでしょう。追跡は困難です。警察に追わせますか？
そうね。家出娘の捜索願いでも出そうかしら。税金を納めてるんだもの。警察にもたまには役に立ってもらわなきゃ。母上に私にお任せをと啖呵を切ってお屋敷を出てきたんですよ。あなた、私にさらに恥をかかせるおつもり？あんたらまとめてお抹茶を振る舞った方が良さそうね。
Does this matcha mean kill you? I don't...
地下のお茶室は狭いから順番待ちの行列になっ
Sounds
ち
like
ゃう
a,
か
I
しら。
bet it's a torture chamber like the Higurashi stuff.
全力で捜索します。
ああ、本当に可愛い子ね。姉さんに本当にそっくり。自分勝手で自由奔放なあたりが本当にそっくり。ああ、もう姉さんにしか見えなくなってきたわ。本当に楽しみよ。
Yo, homegirl sounds creepy as hell.
姉さんの娘をお茶室にお招きできるなんてね。
I do not want to go to this tea room.
スマデラ家、動きが早かったわね。私、おこのぎさんに売られた？
ご冗談を。俺のクライアントですぜ。お嬢を売ったなら、俺を雇ったりはしませんぜ。
それもそうね。
ああ、だから3階でエレベーターを降りたんですか。
地下駐車場に車が待ってるなんて、手際が妙に良すぎたから。おこのぎさんに売られたかもしれないって思って。駐車場に待ち伏せがいたかどうかは、今となっては証明不能だけどね。
Alright, I'm gonna stop here. Really good episode. It's interesting. I feel like Ange is gonna go back to Rokujima. So we're gonna have... Well, yeah, this is interesting because this is episode 4. We haven't even started the... I don't think we've started the 4th game. It was like seemed like it was about to start, and it seems like we're spending a lot of time with Ange kind of going through... this is very interesting to me because she transported to Rokujima in the past for the game or like another world. I don't know how exactly classify it. I mean, this is how I'm looking at it, a different fragment than the fragment that the game is in. So, because I don't think they share consciousness. I think once you go down a certain timeline, you're down that timeline. I don't know. I'm a bit confused with that, but maybe that'll be explained, or maybe you just accept things how they are. But yeah, a lot of this, I mean, we're getting probably like almost 3 hours of stuff without even getting into Rokonjima in the 4th game yet. So I don't know, pretty interesting. I'm actually enjoying this a lot because it does get a bit monotonous when they're starting like the new game and it's like the same thing over and over again. I don't hate it, but I am like super pumped for this, like something different to start off episode 4 as opposed to reshuffling the chess pieces and then just starting with the first day of the family conference. So I don't know. Love to hear what you guys thought about the this episode. Yeah, let me know in the comments below.